messages. I sent you a video.
So I've been talking about exploring this cemetery for quite some time. Specifically because it just doesn't fit. The area that it's in is not a good area by any means. And what are you doing?
Just want to see if the puppy's running around our back.
And if you, well, you'll see it when I get there, but this looks like a cemetery of the highest prestige. Like you've very rarely have you seen a cemetery this this extravagant. And so we're on our way there. Go right here.
Right.
Just trust, please. But there's a lot to be said about the whole cemetery thing and gravestones and what does it all mean and what does each thing symbolize. And
This island's my way of taking this. This island's.
No, it doesn't. Just keep going this way. Why would I tell you to go the wrong way or the long way or the slow way? I don't know where I'm going. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not.
Okay, I'm telling you to go this way because it's the fastest way. You don't have to hit all the stop signs. It's the fastest way. It's the way we go every day to school. But it's just another one of those things where I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sure. I'm pretty stupid, you guys. What are you slowing down for?
Yeah, old shitty car. I didn't know how bad the bump was.
So anyway, there's something to be said about the acorns and the acorn with the draping over it, the veil on it. Like you'll see. But one of the things this cemetery has that really stands out is the obelisk. It has multiple obelisks, but it has this one really, really big obelisk.
I swear.
Yeah. And I've been fascinated by this for a long time. Pump it out there. These pedos need to be exposed. They are. You know, I really do. Like, I'm so proud of myself, right? 10, 15 years ago, when I really started looking into this, even my wife told me I should stop. Go left, and if you hit the gas, you'll make it. Even my wife told me I should focus elsewhere. I should, I shouldn't put all of my eggs in this one basket. And I just kept saying, no. This is what it is. This is the conspiracy. And I can look back on the last few years. I can point to what I've done, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt that I've done the right thing. I'm proud of myself. I've focused in the right areas. I haven't allowed myself to be distracted. I'm proud of myself, and I think even my kids, when my kids get older and they look back on this situation, they'll be able to say, yeah, well, long before it was popular, long before we were allowed to, my dad was the one talking about this stuff. the Epstein stuff, the Maxwell stuff. Like the Epstein, Maxwell, Trump, all that whole connection is so much deeper than you realize. And I was actually in the middle of watching a video titled, like, you know, everything there is to know about the Jeffrey Epstein thing. And of course, it leaves out a bunch of shit. You know, it's supposed to be this definitive... Seatbelt?
Huh?
Seatbelt?
Yeah.
You do when we get a ticket for it.
I don't get a ticket for it.
Until you do.
Watching for cops.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, can't get distracted by nonsense. I swear it's so fucking irritating. The whole thing is just it's so overwhelming and obvious. You know, that's the thing that's so crazy about everything at the end of the day is just how obvious it all is. You have to make a right up at the light. Are full of shit. Who's actual real person that thinks I'm full of shit? I'd love to hear from them. I'd love to hear how, why, what, you know, when, where, what am I doing? How am I full of shit? By any means, anybody can tell me anything, even slightly, that I'm getting wrong. I'd love to hear it. I want to see what you guys have to say. Don't worry, we're almost at the cemetery, so you guys are going to see what I believe to be one of the craziest cemeteries, and it's so out of place. You know, it's this little tucked-in cemetery. And I did a little bit of background on the area that we're in. And the earliest accounts of population, I believe, were in the 30s, and it was 3,000 people. The girl, the chick next to us, just said, "Oh, let me call this bitch." All the way to the left, not in the 5th lane, but it's up here. But so when we're looking through this and we're looking at dates and stuff like that, remember that prior to 1930, there were 3,000 people in this town. Okay? So to think that, like, you can turn here into that street. There's just a street right there. So. I mean, you can turn in there, actually. It says no trespass. Okay. So, yeah, I think you guys will find this fascinating. At least I do. The fuck? When did you start driving like this?
There's no reason to cut people off. We're not.
You're not cutting anybody off. You wouldn't have been cutting anybody off. Nobody would even hit their brakes.
Not a big deal.
All right. Stop here. Now you got to go all the way around. You might as well go all the way out. You can let me out on the other side, I guess. Besides, the other side's better. The other side's something. But look at, here's one. Look at that, Becker. Look at these graves. 1825 to 1915.
Wowzers, that's fun.
Yeah. Look at that. Hot. Stories bringing us together. 2010, okay. So I think it said that only people who are directly related to the founders of this town are allowed to be buried here. I think that's what it said. But that just said 1935 to 19 or 1905 to, I don't remember what it just said, but you see these, look at this one. Look at this one. What's that say? 1843 to
1865.
1865. So this area had 3,000 people.
Cool. Look at the flowers on the round one.
Yeah.
That's
That is really weird looking. I've never seen anything like that before.
That's really gorgeous.
Look at this thing. Holy shit. Look at this.
Bigelow.
Look at the bigelows. Look at this huge plot, family plot. Wow.
Custer. Was that there last time?
Yeah. And this goes all the way back. And there's like there's these little, these ones are super old. Well, 1829 to 1910. Yeah, I'm gonna jump out.
Right here?
Yeah. So I'll meet you over by the road, I guess. Thank you. Oh. Look at this. Died. I can't even tell some of these dates. I mean, some of these, like, look at this. What do you think this little gravestone is? Who do you think this belongs to? This one's Arthur. The Watch. John Watch. Born 1811, died 1883. His wife died in 1883 as well. She was born in 1807. Look at these obelisks. Look at this shit. Look at how crazy this cemetery is. Here we've got a newer one, actually. No, died 1876. Nelson's Lloyd died May 18th, 1870, aged 29 years, 10 months, and 22 days. And they get the obelisk. And this is J. Sheldon, 1859 to 1862. These are the Lees, 1872. Born 1804, 1883. Hendricks, 1829 to 1915. So all of this is from back when this area had 3,000 people. $1864 is when this one was made. Look at that shit. What's the secret to the urn with the top on it? 1818 to 1889. How old are these? Like, some of these are just so old. 1828. Died 1869. This is just Nellie. Just Nellie. Wow, this is just crazy. Look at this shit. This is cross. There's no information, just cross. No information, but one of the biggest ones here, except for this one. Oh, here's another cross. So that's a cross, and then this is another cross. Look at this, I have the whole thing here. Look at this. Well, how old is this? Wow. 1802 to 1893. DC. Elisha Cross. Justice. Sarah, wife of Elisha Cross. Elisha Elijah, I guess. Elijah cross. Crazy, right? Look at some of this. 1857. Died in 1857. Joshua Reed has that tree on it. Look at this one. This is the one that always catches my eye when I'm going by it. Hans. Look at this giant obelisk. Born 1829, died 1905. Who is the Hans family? This is Alexander Blue. Oh, look at the Mason. Oh my God, look at this. Look at that shit. And then you have the other, whatever that cross is. That cross on it. I wonder what that's supposed to symbolize up top. Born 1857, born 1817, 1851. These people died in 1832, this person died. Oh, 82. 1921, 1936. Look at this giant. The Waltons. J.M. Prindle. Look at that shit. Look, it's broken. Jeez, that's weird. Dubois. Look at the Dubois. 1834 to 1910. I can't even read what that one says anymore. Which makes you think, like, what's the point of this? If after all the time, it doesn't even matter. Do you think anybody still comes to the Dubois family? Died 1882, 1892? You think anybody still comes to these? Isaac Sherwood. 1909, this was put in here. This was put in at the same time this kind of shit was. Where this one just doesn't. Nathaniel A. Armstrong. I mean, look at, like, somebody took the time to put all that on there, but what the fuck does it even say? 1792 to 1855. 5 of New York State something. I don't know what that first TIVE. Origins. Original owner of this land. 1829, something state to Michigan in 1829. Original owner of this land is Armstrong. Well, that's weird that I happen to find this one. I mean, look at these. Who are these? Who are these random people, and where? You know, I mean, these gravestones, where do they even go? What's the point of these? Nobody's ever going to even come visit this, let alone, what's it say? I can't read what it says. I can kind of read what it says better through the camera, but I still can't. 1806 to 1881. I mean, 1792 seems like the... Do you think when this was here, they had any idea that these giant-ass trees would grow? I mean, the roots from this tree are just all throughout these graves, have completely destroyed these graves. What's this one say? 1819, died 1888. Mother, father, Milroy. Somebody put that one back together. Died November 11th, 1886 at 29 years old. Prindle. (1882). 51 years old. And they put up this obelisk for him. Do you not get how strange all this is? Again, what's this one? No idea. No idea. Don't even know who's in here. How many people are in here? There's this way. Died 1850 something. Died 18 maybe? Who are these people? It's really strange. Here's another one of these ones with the tree on it. It's a completely different grave. This is from 1845. How strange is that? Alfred Harris, 1822 to 1886, 1816 to 1893. How old do you think that one is? Jesus Christ. And this cemetery is in the middle of like the worst neighborhood. Here we go. Here's another Mason. 1796, died 1883. Holy shit, this was an old person. What's this one say? I don't even know what it says. I can't really read it. Huh. What do you think it is? Died 1882. 1792 is the one we found, huh? How weird is this shit? Nardin. 1852 to 1943, 1865 to 1928. I guess the headstone is just the headstone. The grave marks, the smaller one marks who's in what? I don't know. Franklin, 1978. 1885 to 1973, Jesus. This is so wild. This is just so crazy. I'll even see what this says. 1902. Here's another one like that other one that was broken. So this was a popular style of thing. Look, the capstone's been taken off. What's this say? 1856, 1892, like this is 1800s shit. So in the 1800s, somebody was like, we need to make this big thing so it can be buried in it. This all makes sense to you guys? Who's doing all of this? Look at these old ones, man. 1815 to 1891. Where do you think this one's from? Jesus Christ, it's old. 1909. Look at this. What is this? All these ropes were here. I mean, just think about like what they were doing to make these. Drilling these holes and making this thing in 1903 for Rowley. 1965, 1952. Gottman. These are all the original founders of this town, I guess. You can only be a part of this cemetery if your family was a part of this, if your family is one of these old graves. 1869. Look at this. And again, you have to wonder how many of these graves are lost. How many have been completely covered up? Who owns this? You know, what kind of dues are paid to keep these people entombed here for 200 years in some cases? And this is fascinating. This is history. 1851 to 1903. Ruttenberg. 1852, he never died. 1922. Look at, you would think that one's new, right? It looks relatively new. 1831 to 1903, Pierre Falat. Holy shit, I didn't even see this one. Look at this motherfucker. This has to be new, right? Look at this. Talk about an obelisk. And it's got a big jar at the top. Charles Eugene Smith, 1870 to 1949. In 1949, this is on one solid piece of granite. I mean, this is probably at least 20 feet tall. And then what's in the jar at the top? How important was this person? Charles Eugene Smith. Eugene Smith, 1842 to 1911. So I guess this must have been his dad. That's the most impressive one, maybe. No, not really, but still. 1949. Father, mother, that's all it says. 1810 to 1894. Isaac Lacey. What the hell is that? This is the most fascinating shit. Angelique, wife of Peter, 1861 to 1911. 1843 to 1865. In memory of the son. I mean, 1829, 1966, Peoples. What's that big one? I'm trying to be respectful and not walk on anything. Durham. 1970s. We got 1979. I got 1970. 1884 to, we don't know when Edward died. But the wife was buried in 1906. 1886 to 1906. It's 12. It's 18. She's 18 years old. Had this beautiful headstone made for the father who wasn't, or the man who wasn't put there, I guess. He never died. Herman Bloch, 1855 to 1916. What's back there? Like seriously, like this one here. 1987. So the newest ones are the ones that have been overgrown. 1990. 1926 to 2000. Look at like, this is what we're capable nowadays 49, you have that big giant one. How weird is this? 2007, again, nothing. This is like the nicest one, 2013. And to think so a lot of this is a big, huge, isn't being used. So who were the Pierces that decided that they were going to have theirs all the way back here? The Smiths, 1904. Davis, Smith, look at this. Who put these all the way back here? (1969, 1968). So these guys knew what they were doing all the way back then, huh? That's one of the bigger ones from. But again, like this whole area is. Why would you put it all the way back there? That's just weird. Horry. 1906. This is so interesting. (1984). Like this is seeming like the newer part. They must have extended the cemetery at this point. Baby Donnie, 1946. Yuck. That's so sad. But like 1996, and it's already gone. (1962). Just in the middle. It's like these aren't even spaced out properly. It's just, they're just like thrown in. Yeah, what the hell does that say? I know this one says 1942. That one says 2005. We're still waiting on that one to come through, 1940. The bins. It's a newer one. Here's a metal one. Newer. What do you think? It's 1948, 1927, 1944. 1835 to 1905. So this had to be made in 1905 initially. And this is Pierce, and Pierce is in the back too. This is Perry. I have no idea. I lost the time. It's another hop. (1843 to 1907). Born 1842. Doesn't say when he died. 1918. What did that say? Woodman of the World Memorial. That's a Woodman of the World Memorial. Never heard of Woodman of the World. Something I should look into. Woodman of the World. Never heard of that before. Oh, we saw these. There's Hop. What a strange grouping of shit. 2019, so this is probably one of the newest ones in here. 1951, they were both born in 1951. This is the whole Hop area, I guess. 1986. Gardner, 1926, 1922, 1918, Baby Mary, that's sad. So 1909 to 1913, that's sad. 1847 to 26, 1849 to 22. This is just crazy. Oh, here comes my wife. Damn. Damn, let me just go. Wait. I'll come to you. Just wait a second. I'm just trying to see these last couple. 1913, 1904, 1929, 1827 to 1892. I have no idea when this one is. Sophia. No idea. Holtz. Just want to see this last one here. I have done the best I could. Chloe Barnes, daughter of Abram and Ann Becker, born in 1823, died 1885. Wowzers, look at this. Who were these people? 1885. I have to have my wife drop me back off here again one of these days. 1873, 1867. Like, think about what went into move 1850, died in 1850. Think about what went into putting these things here. Died 1869. That looks like a police badge, doesn't it? Something else was here, but that got removed. Gromer. I mean, this is just wild. 1896. 1802 died 1888. Wow, that shit is nuts, man. This shit is nuts. Think about like what it took 1915 to put these here. There's another hop right there. 1827, 1912, or 1829, 1912, 1827, and 1892. Yeah, I gotta here one day. This is fascinating.
Yeah?
I actually think. Why don't you just go there first?
Because it was stupid to go all the way up there. And I'm not
All the way, it's 5 minutes. Ridiculous. Seriously, she's talking about like a 2-mile difference.
Find any long lost relatives?
Yeah, sure. The oldest one was from, I guess he was born in 1792, I think it said, and he was the owner of all this land. But he had like one of the smaller, it was a gravestone that was flat on the ground.
1700?
I mean, these graves are insane. And to think like these big ones here, these are from, the early 19s.
And there was nothing out here
Nothing.
at the time.
Nothing was out here.
No.
There was the town had 3,000 people in 1930.
So, and it was still the city of Detroit, right?
No,
This wasn't Detroit?
it was Redford. This is Redford Cemetery.
Is it really?
Yeah.
This side was Detroit.
No, at Redford Cemetery, established in 1831.
Wow.
Man, there was so much more I wanted to see. Fuck.
I was texting you.
Well, I wasn't paying attention. But to think about just the pun intended undertaking to just get these, like one of the gravestones was from 1949, and it was at least 20 feet tall, almost 2 feet thick, like this way, and then another 3 feet maybe this way. It's just one big solid slab of red granite. with on top of it was like a vase, looked like a vase, an urn almost, you know. Like, that's a tremendous undertaking. That requires a lot of effort to then stand that motherfucker up and make sure it's perfect so that it stays forever.
How old was that one? Is that an 1800 one too?
That one was died in 1949. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. The amount of... And then there's this other huge cemetery. This cemetery here, less than a mile away, is huge. It's an entire mile side to side. Look at the just abundance of graves in there, and this is huge. And that's one thing, but that other cemetery is this special cemetery just for the people that were born in Redford. Like, if your family comes from one of the original families in Redford, you're allowed to be in there. There's real specific rules. I looked it up. It was fucking crazy, man. And you just think, like, so many of those graves, you know, I was probably the first person to see them in decades. A lot of those graves are covered up and completely forgotten. These, you know, elaborate tombstones with, you know, there's like a certain period where they make tombstones out of like this porous, almost like coral looking stone. And it seems like they did that for a short period, and now they almost look like old newspapers. But at some point, those were the stones that were used. And you like, I wonder what the story is. I tried to find out more about it, but there is no history of it. I don't even know where I would go to begin to look for it. So, wait till you see how far we had to go, that all the way that my wife didn't want to drive. She didn't want to drive all the way over here and then have to drive all the way back to pick me up. I assumed you were going to go to Alyssa's house. That's what you said.
I was going to, but then Mary kept me there forever talking.
Right, you were going to do something,
fair.
And then, so I was planning for you to do the thing.
I didn't expect to be at Mary's so long.
You weren't. It really wasn't that long a time. It's frustrating. If you find yourself in this position, make sure you get someone who's on the same page. Because if you're not on the same page, you're not going to find interest in the same things. And that's going to make things difficult. And considering this truther, freedom fighter kind of thing is it's a hard road. It's a lonely road. So just keep that in mind. It's difficult. I'm just fascinated by it all. And then, like, the layout, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not like they were like, we need to be economical with the space. We're going to have people buried here for the next few hundred years, so we want to keep certain areas. Like, it's hard. Sometimes it's like, how is there even... There can't be a grave right next to where the gravestones are like a foot apart. Wouldn't you... If you were digging down to one, expose the other one in the process? It's really fucking crazy. Really crazy. I want to look into more the acorn symbolism. obelisk symbolism. Like, to think, like, in the 1850s, 60s, how did the average person know what an obelisk was? They were just so familiar with obelisks back then. It was just such a commonplace thing. I mean, was Egypt even rediscovered by 1850? Because, you know, Egypt was sort of undiscovered for a while. And it's crazy because we say the Egyptian obelisk, but when I think of obelisks, I think of Washington, D.C., I think of the Vatican. I don't necessarily think of Egypt when it comes to obelisks. So we're about to pull up all the way here. So far. So far. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm gonna have to come back and look at it again one day. I hope you guys come back and enjoy that as well. I guess I could. I was talking about Epstein prior to this whole thing. Apples. And you know, it's just like everything else. Like, we just don't talk about it enough. We don't look at it enough. We don't think about it enough. But the narrative we're given is not you gotta be some sort of super detective to figure it out kind of thing. Acorns symbolize potential, growth, and strength. We did see a few of those with trees on them as well, but those look like, what are those trees called? Weeping willow trees. Acorn symbolism. Gravestone. Acorns symbolize potential growth and strength, reflecting the mighty oak's tree symbolism. This can also represent a life's journey from small beginnings to lasting legacy, and sometimes, in specific context, immortality, fertility, and the continuity of life. I wonder, let's see if I do acorn symbolism. Oops. Pineal gland. Pineal gland, located in the brain, is often associated with the acorn and the pine cone due to their similar shapes and roles, and symbolism related to spiritual growth and enlightenment. The pineal gland, also known as the third eye, is believed by some to be the bridge between the physical and spiritual realm. This small pine cone-shaped gland produces melatonin, which regulates sleep-wake cycles. Its location deep within the brain and its association with light through melatonin have led to its symbolic connection with the third eye and spiritual awakening. Both acorns and pine cones, particularly pine cones due to their direct resemblance to the gland, are seen as symbols of potential growth and enlightenment. The acorn, as the seed of the mighty oak, represents the potential for great growth from a small source. Similarly, the pine cone, as the seed-bearing structure of the pine tree, symbolizes fertility, new life, and spiritual growth. In various spiritual traditions, the pineal gland is thought to be the seat of intuition and higher consciousness, a gateway to spiritual realms. The acorn and pine cone, as symbolic representations of the gland, are often incorporated into art and rituals to represent the connection to higher consciousness and spiritual maturation. For example, the Vatican's giant pine cone statue is thought to symbolize spiritual enlightenment.
Twizzlers do nothing if you're already turning and then turning over.
All eyes are on Rome as one pope exits and one is yet to be named. I've been thinking back to my visits to the Vatican. Yeah, I don't care. There is a large bronze statue of a pine cone in the Vatican. So let's go acorn covered. When interpreting the symbolism of an acorn covered in a veil, we can explore the meanings associated with both the acorn and the veil individually, then consider the combined significance, potential and growth. The acorn, the seed of the mighty oak, represents the immense potential within something small. It embodies the journey of growth and transformation, reminding us that even little beginnings can lead to enormous success. Strength and resilience, blah, blah, blah. A veil covers, separates, and conceals, representing something hidden or unseen. Combined, hidden potential. The veil might obscure the acorn's inherent potential, implying that its full strength and possibilities are not yet visible or realized. Protected wisdom. The veil could symbolize the protection of the acorn's wisdom, suggesting that knowledge or insight is being safeguarded or is not yet ready to be revealed. Dormant growth. The veil can represent a period of dormancy, retreat, or quiet internal growth before the acorn is ready to sprout and reveal its potential. That is really interesting. Ultimately, the meaning of the acorn covered in a veil can vary depending on the context and individual interpretation. It invites us to contemplate the concepts of potential waiting to be unveiled, wisdom and reserve, and the process of growth that often requires periods of stillness and introspection. If that's the case, then why is it used like that in so many big money gravestones? Parable of the acorn. Jesus oft times, one word, taught the people by parable, and on one occasion we are told that without a parable spake he not unto them. Right? Without being confusing about it. Gotta love those fucking parables that you need to have an interpreter to tell you what it says, because it don't make no sense.
Isn't it called a parabole?
Huh?
Isn't it a parabole?
Okay, parabole, whatever. Sure. I don't know. I say lots of shit wrong. It's Parable. Parabole? Okay. That would just be some of the stupidity that is English. That is how they keep us confused and distracted. Why would you ever say parabole? You get in trouble if you said that. If you were like, let's play some Scrabble, people would be like, what are you talking about? You mean Scrabble? No, Scrabble. Like, you realize how stupid that is? Oh, God. I mean, I get the symbol behind it, right? I get the idea of it symbolizes hidden potential, grow into something big and spectacular. I get that part. The part I don't get is why it's used as acorn, as cemetery markers all the time. That part's just kind of confusing. What is the symbolism behind that? Because that's a pretty significant symbol. That's a pretty significant. You know, it'd be one thing if it was something you saw every once in a while. But so many of those gravestones looked like like pyramids and crazy shrines and shit. Like, seriously. When you think about it, how did people know about that stuff? It wasn't like there was TV back then. Phone, please. Phone, please. Thanks, sir.
Michael's your new balloon.
Just go to the bathroom, dude. I seem to remember seeing a David Icke video about this kind of thing at some point, but I can't remember. Or maybe it was a David Wilkes one. I can't remember. You're probably doing it. You can open it up too. I mean, when it comes down down to shit like that, I don't know anybody else that has their third eye open more than I do. You know, I'm looking at everything honestly, without any bias whatsoever. If you can show me that your thing actually works, then I'm on board. You know, my wife and I, again, we're on different pages in certain areas of life, and it's interesting to me because I always think of my wife as like smarter than me in most cases, right? You know, I know she doesn't like the idea of me being smarter than her, but there are situations where I'm smarter than she is, and so, like, you know, like I say, that I really do admire her and, like, you know, respect her and respect her opinion and, you know, her brain, her big sexy brain. Back when she used to actually like me, she would read my shit and proofread it and stuff. Like, I really respected her opinion on things. And so, as we've gone down this journey together, you know, I would have said she was probably an agnostic when I met her. Not quite an atheist, because she believed it enough, you know. It's so much a part of her Greek heritage that it's hard to separate the you know, the truth from the guilt, right? The heavy helping of Greek guilt. But at the same time, she didn't come from that. The people I knew weren't super religious. Her grandmother wasn't super religious. Her mother wasn't super religious, if at all. Which is really, really a strange thing in the Greek community. But as we've gone down this road, my wife has gone, like, totally, you know, as much as I've gone into the conspiracy and then the personal journey kind of thing, she's gotten into, I mean, I hate to say witchcraft because it makes it sound stupid. You know, the way that society has created this green skin sitting on a broom kind of narrative, like, it's stupid and it's embarrassing and it's irritating to know that that's what you're dealing with when people, you know, when you talk about it, people go, that's what they think in their head when you talk about witchcraft, or they think of some satanic bullshit. But my wife is very into, like, star charts, birth charts, you know, this or that being in retrograde. And she has a group, and it's you know, it's funny because it's not like it's the stockbrokers and shit of the world. It's a group of, you know, kind of weird chicks who don't fit in most situations, but they've found this really tight group of people together who are on the same level in a lot of ways. But this is where, again, I think, like, my wife, it shocks me a little bit, right? Because she's smart enough to see it. And when you hear her talk to other people, like, we have a friend, she has a friend, Daisy, who is trans, and, you know, cool person, whatever. But Daisy's young, 26 or something, 28, 26. And my wife is like an elder in the group. You know, people come to her, again, because she's really fucking smart and everybody knows it. But hearing her talk to her, you know, she was sort of trying to explain, like, my point of view one day to Daisy. And it basically always just comes down to, like, just because your thing isn't the church doesn't mean it's not a manipulation passed down. Like, it doesn't mean it's not the church. It's still the church, right? It's just a different form of it. You basically believe a lot of the same shit. You have a lot of the same rituals. I mean, a lot of the church stuff is based in these pagan rituals and stolen pagan holidays, apparently. You know, again, this is where it comes down to, like, they fucking stole the pagan holidays. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, so they tell us. Right? Like it's a different thing. It's a weird thing because, to me on the outside, it's like looking at an example of we know better, but we override what we know to fit what we like. Because like I say, my wife is in my mind, she's too smart for that. She's too smart not to ask, well, who decided that Mercury in retrograde means this? Who decided that Venus being in your who's a jigger while your Butterfinger is in rising or whatever? Like, who decided all that shit was what it is? Who decided that this rock is a Google hype, and the Google hype is a healing stone that goes well with a Chardonnay? Like, who the fuck figured that out? Who at some point someone decided that. I mean, I could see how somebody goes, hey, those stars, if you were to draw a line to them, that would look like a ladle. Hey, let's call it the Big Dipper. Okay, I get it. Hey, look, you notice right over there? There's another grouping that's like kind of the same shape but smaller. Let's call that the Little Dipper. Okay, cool. Hey, what about those ones right there? They go like this and that. Let's make that one a giant crab. What? Oh, and this one over here, that's a lion. Ooh, you see those three ones right there? That's the belt on a guy who's holding up a fucking lion with a club in his hand, and that'll be Orion's belt. That'll be Orion. To think that somebody could even do that, to even think to do that. Like, you ever tried to point a star out to somebody before?
Oh, it's very hard.
It's like impossible.
It's frustrating.
Right. Hey, you see that star? Which one? That one right there, next to the one right there? Which one? You see the one right there? You see the Big Dipper? Okay, now go over like 10 inches. And you see that one right there with the thing right above it and the other one?
No, which one?
Which one? That one? No, that one. That one? No, that one. Like, it's just... So to think that some peasants are sitting out in a field one day, smoking some herb, and they're like, hey, man, that one's a lion, man. Yeah, it's a lion. You got a Big Dipper, man. Give me a big spoonful of that soup. Yeah. Yeah, okay, no. And they're going, he's going to club the lion in the head. Oh, yeah. Like, I can see... Okay, maybe. But to think like that information is universal. How did that get to be universal? How did somebody be like, yeah, that star? And you went, okay, yeah, that's a lion. Okay, cool. That's Leo. And it's the zodiac and it's this. And how many of you actually know that shit's true? How many of you are fully aware of the stars' passage through the zodiac and this, that, especially when we're talking about different things that happen over long periods of time like millennia? 1853. I was just going to bring up 1852. 1852. 1552. 1582. 1582. Yeah, that's what it is. Dyslexia kicking in. 1582, when they figured out that we were on the Julian calendar, but they decided that we needed to go onto the Gregorian calendar because they figured out that the Julian calendar that said that or maybe I might have these backwards. that says that the Earth goes around the sun every 365.25 days was incorrect. The sun actually goes around the Earth actually moves around the sun 365.2425 days. So basically, it works out to be a little bit less than a day every 100 years. That's how our calendar is off. A little bit less than a day every 100 years. And so they figured that out somehow. And they decided that everywhere on the planet was going to have to change its dating system to facilitate this. And they were able to still keep accurate records of everything. Because, you know, if you thought that something happened on April 17th, 1322, well, turns out it actually happened on April 19th, right? 1322. Doesn't that make all the difference in the world? Doesn't that change everything for you? To know that the date was off by 2-3 days? Doesn't that affect anything whatsoever? And it's supposedly all based upon Easter. And what these monks calculated Easter to be, and calculated Easters for the next 100 years, and what? The calendar system as we know it was based on Easter? Did you know that? And of course, there's Dionysus, who didn't like that we were on Diocletian years, and Diocletian persecuted Christians, so he didn't like that our system glorified him, so he changed it. He said, based on no one knows how, that the year that they were in was now 525 AD. And you know, and really, it didn't even catch on for another couple hundred years. And a couple hundred years later, people were like, hey, remember that Dionysus guy from Italy? He was like, you know, it's 525. Let's say it was 525 back then. Let's just do that. I mean, it's our history is so insane. What you think, like, because... What's up, Bob? What's up, dude? Mm-hmm. It's big. I mean, it's just wild. Let's keep fighting each other and be losers. Yeah, that's it. I should get mental help because I know things you don't know. Because I ask questions you're not smart enough to ask or answer. That makes me crazy.
You are crazy. Duh.
I mean, I think you have to be pretty crazy to accept things the way they are, to accept the narrative you're given as being true. How about this? They didn't. The concept of zero wasn't introduced to Europe until 1260. They didn't have the concept of zero. Zero wasn't a thing. And when you realize, like they counted in bundles and shit like that. To think that our historical account, especially when they start talking about shit was from 325 BC, how the fuck did they know that? It's not like they wrote it down that way. It's not like the gravestones from back then were like, born in 426, died in 352 BC. Like, they didn't say that shit. They weren't counting down. Man, I can't wait till year zero. That's going to be cool. I really like... It's one of these things where it's almost like it's hard to even get it across to you guys in one setting. It took me a minute to sort of wrap my head around it. But to understand that some random guy, this guy who did translations, he translated old ancient Greek stuff into Latin. That was his big gig, was translations. Somehow he had the knowledge of translation. He had the internet he had the best internet access back then. But when you understand that, like, again, this notion of zero not even being a thing until 1260. How did they do any math without zero? How did they build anything without there being a zero? How do you decide it's 525 without having a zero? And then, you know, it's 1 BC is 1 before Christ. So many of you dumbasses think that 1 AD is 1 after death, even though it's Anno Domini, Anno Domini, or it's not. Can I see your phone for a second? I don't want to lose this page.
Domini.
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini. That's what AD means, Anno Domini, and it's in the year of the Lord. It's a translation that means in the year of the Lord. The symbol zero is what you're talking about. The idea of none still existed, dude. Nothing was still a thing. No, not mathematically. Obviously, nothing was a thing, you dumbass. Why would you be so desperate to be right that you would say something like that? What's up, dude?
Sorry to bother you. I didn't mean to knock too much. I only stopped by because I work for a roofing company. I noticed they had a lot of buildup.
I'm a renter.
You're a renter?
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine, man. But we do free inspections. There should be no reason for him to tell you no. That right there looks like this, but up there it could probably.
It has we have the things, so it builds up because of the things, the
vents,
the things that block the drainers.
Yeah.
There's like screen. Get back. There's like screens up there that keep the. So it's not as bad as you think it is.
But it is.
Yeah, it's bad.
I was just saying, because if it's stopping it from there, that means the water just keeps going up inside the roof.
Yeah.
Because like when it builds up on the gutters, that's why people have to clear gutters. When it builds up on the gutters, it starts soaking up into the wood where the gutters are connected to. So that right there, the reason that it's shown on your shingle, or on his shingles, I guess, either way, is because it's coming from under, where the water is getting underneath the shingles and stuff.
All right, I'll let them know, man. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, have a good day.
Your point is that math was invented at some point. Yours, mathematics zero didn't exist mathematically. No, the point is, your concept of history is so... You're so quick to jump, like you believe so many things without any evidence for it. You believe ridiculous things. You believe narratives that don't make sense. And then you are programmed to attack someone like me who questions them. You believe that your history is just this straightforward black and white sort of thing that is linear and is you can backtrack it and it. No, I don't. Oh shit, where did that go? It's just that you just don't realize questions is attacking, but questioning everything else is what. See what I mean? Like girly shit like that. Like when you have to to make up your own arguments. That just says everything. When you pretend like you can't understand what I'm saying. Well, you know what? You questioning things is okay, but asking you questions is not. Did I say anything about don't ask me questions? I'm just pointing out, like, see, your arrogance comes in because you think that somehow what you know is the correct thing. Your variation of whatever it is the right one. And if my wife and I were fighting right now, she'd say, whatever, that's what you think. You think everything has to be your way and blah, blah, blah. But what you don't understand is my way isn't the thing. I'm not the one telling you anything definitively. I'm the one telling you we have no idea. I think they're lying to us. And I think the evidence is there. You just have to be able to find it. You know, shit. I'm not gonna use your phone. So the cemetery I was just at, right? Historic cemetery. In 1831, Israel Bell, a Peking Village, Michigan commissioner, gave 1 acre of land to the village for his cemetery, originally called Bell Branch Cemetery after the river and the settlement founded by Bell in 1818. The name was changed to Redford Cemetery following the village renaming to Redford Township. It also was known as the Pioneer Cemetery. Additionally, additional acreage obtained in 1849, 1854, and 1853 expanded the cemetery to 10 acres, of which part is in Redford Township and part is in Detroit. A wrought iron fence was built for the cemetery in 1886 with money contributed by the Redford Township citizens. Among those buried here are Israel Bell, I didn't find his, and many military veterans that served in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War, and both World War I and II. In the 20s, the descendants of Redford pioneers created the Redford Cemetery Association and worked with both Redford and Detroit to gain control of the cemetery in early 1930. This was realized and remains today. The cemetery is still managed by the nonprofit Redford Cemetery Association with the support of the property. Okay, so that's... Let's see. Founded, Michigan Historic Site, gave 1 acre, same exact narrative. 1886, the iron fence and entrance gate was built for the cemetery at a cost of $1,500. That would be almost $41,000 today. So back then, the residents of the town gave up $41,000 to build a fence around the cemetery. Think about how insane that is, right? The scroll work of the iron is what inspired the current logo. In the 1980s, the gate was repaired for a cost of $4,900, about $11,000 a day. Over the time, the gated fence was replaced altogether. The fence is said to have been donated by the Henry Ford Greenfield Village as part of the 2019 original gate is stored at one of the Redford Township buildings, public service buildings. The Historical Commission is trying to find a way to preserve and repurpose the beautiful arch. Photos featured in Redford Observer articles in 86 and 78 depicting the original arch entrance. Oh, okay, that's... According to Charlotte Binns, past president of the Descendants of Redford Pioneers, when Detroit annexed part of Redford Township in 1926, the Redford Cemetery Association petitioned both respective governments for control over the cemetery. Think about that. Both the governments, because the governments were like such a thing back then. You know, the Redford government and the Detroit government were very much individuals. They received a deed in 1933 from Redford Township for their portion of the cemetery land. And in 1934, a lease from the city of Detroit for the remaining 7 acres. The lease is supposed to last, quote, forever. Charlotte passed away in 2000. She is buried there. Charlotte, what's her name? Charlotte Binns. I think I did see the Binns marker. This is just funny here. In 1939, Clarence and Marjoria Beavis made a list of every burial at the Redford Cemetery. Marjoria was the granddaughter of Redford's 5th settler, Greg Norris. 5th settler, huh? They know that? Just think about that. We know the order in which people settled Redford. How crazy is that? Who arrived in 1828. We know that Greg Norris arrived in 1828. The list recorded by the Beavises were eventually compiled into a book that is available for purchase. According to Lois Carpenter, a past Redford Historic Commission member, if you're interested in very early Redford history, walk through the cemetery, read the names. Blue, we saw the blue plot. Bell, Green, Hendry, Lyon, Perrin, Prince. We saw the Pierce one. We saw the Pierce. Prindle. We saw the Prindles. Smith, Wilmarth, and you've got the beginning. In 1883, Judge Alexander Blue's widow and son spent $3,000 on a monument for his burial. That would be about $76,000 today. They spent $76,000 on this big one.
Wow.
76. This thing is double my size. $76,000 on a gravestone? How rich were these people? What were they into in 1883? What were they into in 1883 that they could afford to drop $76,000 on a gravestone? He was a judge. The judge made that much money back then? And then again, think about it. So we're talking about 1883. How did they get this giant granite marble gravestone to this area on the little hill that it's in? And like what? On the dirt roads, right? The horses were pulling these. Is that how it is? This giant piece of one solid piece of granite. It was pulled by the horses with the wheels, with the wooden wheels. Hopefully it hadn't rained anytime soon. But they then brought it in and they erected it. How the fuck did they do that? How did they erect it in a way that it lasts forever? How deep does it go? It has to go down crazy deep, right? Like 6 feet deep. I mean, the one that's sticking out 20 feet that I told you, that big solid piece of red granite, how far down does that have to go so it can stay up forever without wind knocking it down, erosion, all that shit? How does that make sense?
Stay back.
And so who was the big granite supplier back then? Granite manufacturer and granite stonemason. Redford had its own stonemason back in 1883 that was capable of erecting monumental gravestones. Like, these are some of the biggest, fanciest gravestones I've ever seen. 1883, fun fact, in the 1850s home of Alexander Blue was moved to Livonia's Green Mead Historical Village in 1987, where it has since been restored and opened to the public in 2003. They moved the house. The 1850s home was moved in 1987. That's just interesting. The state historic marker for the Redford Cemetery was finally achieved in 1986 after years of research and documentation by the Redford Cemetery Association, including blah blah. Gallagher stated in a 1992 Redford Observer article that 5 generations of her family are buried at the Redford Cemetery.
Yeah.
Gallagher. I don't remember seeing a Gallagher. Gallagher's mother, Olive Hop, well, so we did see the big Hop section. The Hop family had a lot of section. Is credited with the idea of pursuing a historical marker for the cemetery. Unfortunately, she passed away before she could see that dream realized. Swanson is buried in the cemetery along with Gallagher's grandfathers, Dave Chavey and Henry Hop the First. The funds for the historical marker were donated in Swanson's memory. The official ceremony and dedication of the marker took place in 1989 and was attended by over 50 people. Damn! Including a former Michigan governor and president of the Michigan Historical Commission, John B. Swanson. Many of the burials of the Redford's pioneer families belong to farmers, most of whom never made it to the age of 50. And yet they're dropping 50,000, 20, 30, 40,000, or at least the equivalent of such on a gravestone. You know what it's called if you made it out of the 8th grade. Europeans came to the area to purchase cheap farmland. This explains the diverse genealogy of Redford's ancestors, which include French, German, Polish, Irish, English, and Swedish, along with many others. No Jewish. Charles Smith, Redford's first teacher, 1811 to 1882. The first teacher, where did he get his teaching certificate from? What did he teach? Since 1933, the historical 3-acre parcel of Redford Cemetery is maintained by the nonprofit Redford Cemetery Association. Today, there are about 2,000 graves in the cemetery, and only the descendants of Redford's pioneer families are able to be buried there. According to a member of the Redford Cemetery Association, some of the older tombstones have been purposely buried or covered in order to protect and preserve them. That is weird. Over the years, the cemetery has been host to multiple counts of vandalism, but preserves through the continuous work and dedication of the Redford Cemetery Association and volunteers who will help clean and maintain it. What's this say? 90 tombstones were tipped over or broken by vandals at historic Redford Cemetery last week. Looking over the littered graveyard of our Fred Durites, township historian, and Mike Furman, cemetery caretaker, who discovered the damage Tuesday morning. 1965. In 1965, vandals went through and knocked over 90 gravestones. That is really strange. In 1999, one of the tombstones even went missing for approximately a week, ending up in someone's front yard in Waterford. Ironically, the yard had been decorated with fake tombstones for Halloween, so the owner didn't even realize right away that a thief had added a real tombstone with the decorations. The stolen tombstone belonged to a 9-year-old boy by the name of Frankie Bryant, who was buried in the Redford Cemetery during the 1880s. Thanks to records compiled by the Beavises, the name of the tombstone was easily found under the Redford Cemetery burials list. Once the tombstone was identified, it was then returned to its rightful place back in the cemetery. I mean, this isn't a small fucking tombstone. How did somebody steal that? Why? In 2010, the Redford Cemetery received a notable mention as one of the 60 cemeteries in Boneyards, Detroit Underground by Detroit writer Richard Bach. The book is available. Since the 1980s, numerous community groups, organizations, cleanups, Project Guinea. Participants had to wire brush the rusted areas of the Redford Township Pioneer Cemetery fence before painting it. They're going yearly tradition for this document to MC the movie in a cemetery as not only a way to spread awareness about this story. They do a movie in the cemetery? That's fucking weird. As of 2019, almost 2,000 graves, over 1,800 have been documented, 88% photographed by volunteer Gianna. So, 2,000 graves that are located, 100 have been documented. That's actually really weird. So check this out. Redford population records. It's weird because and it was like it had a nice breakdown of it. I can't find what that page was. What was it, the Wikipedia page? It might have been spin away. Yeah, it was the Wikipedia page. Demographics. All right, so historical population. From the census of 1930, the population was 3,834 people. By 1940, it had jumped 79% to 6,867 people. 1950, it jumped 175% to 18,940 people. In a 10-year span, it jumped 175%. It went from 7,000 to basically 19,000. And then in the 1960s, it jumped 276.3% to 71,276 people. In the 60s and 70s, there were 71,000, and then in the 70s, it only went up by 700 people. In the 70s, there were as many, at its peak, Redford had 71,900 residents, right? In the 2020, it was 49,504. Lost over 22,000 people. But, like I said, okay, so if the population was 3,834 in 1930, what do you think it was in 1883? To the point where they were able to, like, document who was the first settlers. Redford, Michigan. History. In 1847, the first justice of the peace was established in Redford Township with William A. Smith. We saw William A. Smith, that's for sure. William A. Smith had a huge gravestone as well. Serving as the first justice from 1847 to 1964. 15 justices of the peace served in Redford Court. During this period, there was no official courthouse. Court was held in the homes of the justices, Township Hall, and later the commercial buildings in the township. This isn't a very good history. On January 1st, 1964, a new Michigan State Constitution was enacted which mandated new courts could be created to replace Justice of the Peace and Circuit Court Commissioners by January. Who gives a shit about this? This isn't like the... When I was thinking about the history of Redford, it wasn't like I wonder what the Justice of the Peace was. The first elected district court judges were John Dillon and Robert Brang. The court rented a building across the street from Township Hall in Beach Daily and installed the first recognized district courthouse. In 1970, I'm trying to find the history from... Why is that? Why is this the history of Redford? That's all it is? That one got stuck. I will respond if it's legit. I don't expect them to say anything interesting. And it's weird that I can't find history or local history. Redford Archives. Most of Historical Archives is an ongoing project. This contains Observer from 1955. Wow, this is strange. Our Story. 1969 to present? Well, I don't want the history from 1969. I want to know the... United States, 1926. There are maps of Redford Township from late 18th century to early 100 on the walk at Redford Community Center. This is an old red schoolhouse. This is so difficult. Fun facts for kids. No. It was officially went out. You can't wait. Right. You can't wait like 10 minutes. Huh? Has an interesting past. It was officially created in October 29th, 1829. Before that, it was part of a larger area. Because Redford was chosen in March 1833. It comes from how early settlers and Native Americans crossed the Rouge River in this area. Rouge is a French word that means red, so Redford means the red ford or crossing point. How big was the River Rouge back then?
It was much bigger because, you know where Karen and Stephanie's house are?
Yeah.
Okay, so Stephanie's house, when they went to redo it, they found the whole back foundation had all sunk, and when they went digging to shore it up, it's all sand. So all of that up to the road was all water, and it receded down. So Karen's on a quarter acre, or a half quarter acre. So
Redford Township used to be much larger in the 20s. Some of its eastern parts became part of Detroit. This stopped in 1926 when Michigan made Redford a charter township. This special status helped to keep its boundaries. So the population was even less then, right? Because it was more spread out. Several parts of the Rouge River flow through Redford. Again, the population starts in 1930. I really want to try to do like a in-depth look into the history of Redford. Oh, this is dumb Facebook page. Another Facebook page. Redford Charter, Michigan. Diving into the history of Redford Charter Township, it's important to note that it was originally organized as part of the Springwells Township and Buckland Township in 1827. Just 2 years later, Buckland Township was split into two entities, Nankin Township and Peking Township. Peking Township was renamed as Redford in 1833, and in 1926 it was granted charter status to become what you know. It was called Peking Township because Chinese stuff was real big back then in 1833, the Chinese history, so they named it Peking because apparently that was real popular. Like, how weird is that? So, it was originally organized as part of Springwell Township and Buckland Township, but then 2 years later, Buckland Township was split into two entities for what? What is going on in 1827 that is so important that these people that have to, like, farm day and night just to survive, and they have to build up their stocks, because what the fuck did they do for 4 months of the year, basically, for the winter? But what was so important that was going on that these people stopped what they were doing to be able to, we got to split our township and charters, and, like, that's just weird. In the early days of Redford Township, Michigan, the community was rural. However, by 1918, it had a post office named 5 Points, signaling its growth. The township used to extend to Greenfield Road, but parts of it were annexed by Detroit in the 1920s. How? For what? Why did Detroit annex parts of Redford? Like, you would think that would require, surveyors,
Right.
all kinds of different shit. But this 1920, what were they doing? What surveying instruments did they use? And who were they, think about what was available at the time. The vehicles, were they doing this all on horseback and shit?
When I worked for the appraisal, the
Spit it out, son.
land company, it was appraisal and real estate consulting company, and we had to get the surveys of all kinds of different properties, because they come in and want block properties and whatever, and we'd have to, like, analyze it and see if it was a good deal. So they would have me go down to the county buildings all the time and pick up the different land surveys, and then we'd have these big books of all these plots of land and all the surveys in there. And there were some that were old as fuck that we had to pull, and they were like and it looked like they were all hand done, and I was like, how the fuck did they figure out what this property actually looks like? How'd they split it up? How come they split a property and then cut a little section? And it's not like that's a government thing that they put, like, something there. No, it's just part of the next property. Why? Very weird.
All of it's so strange.
But the old one's always fascinating me.
And then, so who bought this whole area and was like, all right, let's section it off and make houses on it. Let's build suburbs here. Who bought all that? Whose was this? The township's geography plays a significant role in its history, covering 11 square miles, and is home to several waterways, include the Rouge River, which flows. Redford Township's history is the shift of population dramatically increased from 3,834 in 1930 to 49,000 in 2020. Yeah, but that's not the dramatic increase. The dramatic increase is 71,000 in 1960. It's down to 49,000. Notably, the African American population grew by a staggering 200% between 2000 and 2010, almost like they were pushed into this area. Because I know when I was growing up, Redford was white. It was very much a white, the line was telegraphed. Michigan, Rich Township. I have to look more into this. Now there's no This isn't like historical shit anymore. Alright, so Redford Archives. Here we go. This could be interesting. Oh, no. It just tells me. Redford Township Local Historic Archives is an ongoing project started by the Redford Township District Library to preserve, digitize, and share local historical material. This digitization project provides a searchable archive database that can be used by anyone in the world. Old maps of Redford. Explore maps. This is 1850. This couldn't have been 1850 because all these roads are here and the highways are here. The fuck are you talking about? I don't need my location to be used. What the fuck? So it just doesn't show any. There's no change in the map. Oh, 5 Mile Road. So $1851 is when the roads were, I guess, established. At least. Yeah. Okay. 5 Mile Road was established. Beach Daily was established. Schoolcraft was established. Plymouth Road was kind of established. Like, it's just kind of weird. But this is just road maps. This isn't going to show me anything interesting. Yeah, I don't care about that. History of Redford Theater. The Redford Theater opened on January 27, 1928 as a neighborhood movie house. It was billed as America's most unique suburban playhouse. The theater, with its 3-stage grand foyer and full-size stage, has been in continuous operation ever since. This was fortunate since it enabled Redford to have its theater, blah, blah, blah. So it's just a bullshit. So there's really nothing. Like, it's really weird. Let's see. I want to see this Redford Theater. See what it looks like. I think I know what it is. So this was built in, what did it say, 1928? During the height of the Depression. It's really weird that it's only photos of the inside. I want to see what it looks like on the outside. Oh, here you go. This is what it used to look like. And these are pictures of Redford. This isn't the same thing. This is a different building behind it. Isn't it weird that they always take the picture from the same angle? Why is everything from the same angle? Are there no other pictures of the Redford Theater from any other angle? Old pictures, I mean? Why are there... Let's see. So, oh. So, Redford Theater, old photos. There's one. There's one. Love those cars. Paved roads. Brick building. What do you mean there's only one photo? The Redford Theater opened by Kunsky Theaters chain on January 27th, 1928. 1928, in the height of the oh no, wait, this was just before the Depression. As a neighborhood movie house, it was billed as America's most unique suburban playhouse. What a weird thing to bill yourself. The most unique suburban playhouse. The theater, with its 3-story grand foyer and full-size stage, has been a continuous operation ever since. This was fortunate, right? Silent films were still being produced when the plans were made for the theater, so a Barton organ was installed as the theater was being built. The theater was designed with a Japanese motif. The design included appropriate decorations on the organ console. During World War II, much of the Japanese-style decoration was removed, painted over, or covered up. As the theater continued operation, the pipe organ was used less and less frequently. Eventually, heavy draperies were hung over the organ grillwork. It's really interesting that there seems to be only this one photo. And you can see, like, okay, so there's no big building behind it, right? There's this other one that says Redford Theater, but that's obviously not the Redford Theater. Nope, here's another one. 24 old photos of Redford. Here it is. Here's the same fucking photo. It's all... Okay, well, no, because I guess the other one was... Here, let's visit. This is 24 old photos. Grand River and Lasser, Sand Hill, Redford, 1906. So there definitely was the train, and there definitely were the power lines for some reason. There's a small group of what looked to be black women there, and then there's apparently somebody on a horse. But where is everybody else? Where are all the people? Oh my God. Grand Army of the Republic building. I'd never heard of this. This was in Detroit. Are you kidding me? That's an interesting building, man. Talk to anyone in the Navy. Yep, because we all know that if you ask a military man a question, he's obligated to tell you the truth. And he doesn't have a military Navy first mentality over you knowing the truth mentality. Ford River Rouge plant, Dearborn, Michigan, 1956. Sure as a lot have been built in the 1950s. Look at that shit. That's just wild. Look at all those cars. Seven Mile and Grand River. Five Points Refreshment Parlor. Hot dogs, hamburgers, groceries, meats. It's so crazy. And you see this shit, and it's like, you look at it compared to what was available, or like what we were capable of. I clicked on this, it said 24 old photos, so I figured it'd be old photos of the Redford Theater, and there's nothing. Look at this old photo. What is this from? This is the Annex Theater. I don't know when it's supposedly from, but just think about who did that shit. The Annex Theater. This is the exterior. All that fucking antiquitech on the top of it. Look at that shit. Look at how crazy that is, man. Lois Wilson, French dressing, Bob Corday at the organ. Look at that. Look, the photo doesn't have a whited out sky. So clearly they could take pictures that had the sky in them back then. Because every time you see that shit, anytime you see these old photos, they always show like there's nothing in the sky. The sky's been totally whited out. And they say it's because the cameras couldn't do it. But here's clear evidence the cameras could do it. Annex Theater Auditorium. This is the rear view of the inside of the fucking theater. Who built that giant room? Who designed that room so it would stay up without any supports in the middle? Where did they get their training from to be able to build like that? Jesus Christ. This is where you'd go to watch movies? So important that every detail, even the ceiling, is hand carved and shit? Redford Theater. Does it have a history? Wiki. Let's see the wiki. Redford Theater is an atmospheric theater. An atmospheric theater is a type of movie palace design which was popular in the late 1920s. Atmospheric theaters were designed and decorated to evoke the feeling of a particular time and place for patrons through the use of projectors, architectural elements, and ornamentation that evoked a sense of being outdoors. This was intended to make the patron a more active participant in the setting. Don't see that anymore today. In Old Redford, the Old Redford neighborhood of Detroit. Old Redford, why did it bring me to this? List of neighborhoods. Gave me the old, okay. The theater opened in January of 28, so it had to be built before that, right? Obviously, we're talking about early 20s. Where movies and shit aren't really like, this isn't the thing it becomes. So the investment in this takes balls. Advertised as Detroit's most unique suburban theater. Due to its grand design featuring Japanese and Chinese motifs. The Redford is part of a series of 3 grand cinemas in the Detroit suburbs operated by the Kunske Circuit. Kunske. John H. Kunske, 1875 to 1952, was a Detroit area businessman who made a fortune by investing in movie theaters. He later became partners with George W. Trendle and invested in radio. Kunske had been an early investor in Nickelodeons beginning in 1905. During the first decade of the 20th century, small vaudeville-style theaters were used for stage and film. The Bayou was one of several small Nickelodeon theater owned by Kunske. Love when these things have mistakes. Kunske made a lot of money operating these small theaters, but decided it was time for something bigger. Like, who thinks that way? John Kunske hired architect C. Howard Crane to design the first true movie house in Detroit. The Columbia opened in 1911 and could seat over 1,000 people. Of course, it's not something I can look up. It contained a pipe organ and had facilities for its own orchestra. It was only the second large movie house in the United States. And it was in Detroit. That's crazy. The Strand was with nearly 1,400 seats, and the Alhambra, with about 1,475 seats, were designed by C. Howard Crane, and both opened in 1915. The Adams Theater was built in 1917. This is just another one of these narratives where somebody is just that guy. He's just building, and you're not going to get the firms that built these things. It basically gets attributed to the guy that designed them. No mention of how many, how you have 1,000 seats. Okay. So you have your theater with 1,000 seats. So that means, it's 1911, so the majority of people have horses. So does your 1,000-seat theater have a huge horse parking station where you can go park your horse for a couple of hours and watch the theater? How does that work? This is something that just does not get touched on enough. But how does that work? Make it make sense. 1,000 people show up for the show. Where the fuck are all their horses gonna sit? Who's gonna clean up all the shit after all those horses? Horses need 10 to 15 gallons of water per day. It's one of these things where, again, I don't care if you like me or not. It's not about us being best buddies. To me, this is just so fascinating to ask these questions and try to figure this out. And I figure if I'm going to learn it, if I'm going to look into this shit, I might as well hopefully help somebody else learn it too. Reading it to myself is the exact same thing as reading it to you guys. And at least if I read it to you guys, you might have some sort of information that you can give to help out. John Kunske dreamed of building larger and grander movie palaces. Kunsky once hired C. Howard Crane to design his first such theater. The 1,806-seat Madison was completed in 1917, costing $500,000 to build. So both of the 1,400-seat theater and the 1,475-seat theater, the Strand and the Alhambra, which I don't know where those were located, but they had to be in different cities. They were both completed. They were both opened in 1915. So when did he? I mean, he opened the Columbia in 1911. So I mean, you would think it would take several years to build these gigantic theaters that have to be so specific. You know, they have to have such precise specifications so the acoustics are just right and so everybody can have a decent seat. 1,000 people sitting in a place where everybody is able to see, that's an impressive feat. But not only was he designing and then, like, again, it's not going to say who the construction companies are. How is he facilitating this construction? I really don't want to keep being live, but I'm in the middle of this rabbit hole right now, and they've clearly shut down my feed. So, I guess I should just reset real quick, and we'll continue this discussion in a minute. So, un momento, por favor. If you want to come back, come back. If not, have a great day, pedophiles. You kill yourself. Check out the links in the descriptions.